discussion Mrs. Seetha Anand Vaidyam. She's an early childhood teacher trainer, remedial therapist, wellness consultant, and author. She has been a teacher trainer in schools across India and abroad. She's also a remedial therapist working with children with learning disabilities or difficulties, and is well known for her workshops on early childhood inspired by Waldorf Steiner education systems. In total, she has conducted an amazing 750 plus workshops across the world. We are honored and privileged to have you with us today, ma'am. Before we get started, I would like to inform our audience that our speaker will be taking questions from you after the main talk. So please leave your questions in the chat or raise a hand, and we will allow you to ask your questions in person. I request everyone to turn on your webcam for the interactive activities part of the session. Now, without further ado, I invite our speaker to begin today's WishwaTalks.
Namaskaram. Thank you for that introduction. And it's always a pleasure to be part of Vishwa. And bringing up a child takes a whole village, they say. And in especially our culture, childbirth, even pregnancy and childbirth, have been held in the highest of reverence, and a lot of thought and care goes into the bringing up of a child right from the womb to its adulthood. And I would like us to bear this in mind. And with this, I would like to start with this in mind. I would like to start with setting up of an intention or a sankalpam. This is not a prayer. It's an intention that we're setting, each one of us. So just listen to this. You can close your eyes if you want to get that extra inward meditative state. These children have lived in spiritual realms before coming down to earth. It is our task and responsibility to rightly guide what the eternal being willed by incarnating in this earthly body. Welcome, everyone. And I would like to see everybody's faces as far as possible. If there is a problem, then I can understand. But if there isn't, please switch on your camera, because as it is, doing an online session is a compromise from being physically present. And at least if I can see your faces, I would get a little feedback of what whether I'm reaching you or not. Yeah, thank you. And good to see some familiar faces. Thank you for joining. Yes, can we have the presentation, the screen sharing, please?
Thank you for the invite.
No, the first, yeah, okay. When we say holistic education, what time do you think, what age do you think your children start learning? And before that, yeah, I think, yes. What is the most important thing that you wish for your child? I would like to ask, you can leave your comments in the chat box. What is the most important thing that you wish for your child? Even if you don't leave it on the chat box, this is an important thing that we all need to have in mind. Yes, empathy and curiosity in that order. Yes. And what age do you think that children begin to learn? What age do you think that children begin to learn? Yes, absolutely. We often don't realize that from the womb, the child is already learning. And the moment the child is out of the womb, the child which was henceforth breathing through the mother's womb, through the mother's oxygen supply, now has to immediately, within that fraction of a second, start breathing on its own. That's learning, isn't it? That is learning. And it's also learning to eventually turn over, sit, crawl, stand, all that. All that is also learning, which we don't really lay an emphasis on. And so it is clear that learning is natural. Are they taught all this? Are they taught how to breathe on their own? Are they taught how to turn over? It is a repetitive thing that happens naturally, and then they gain mastery over it. And for them, when a child starts turning over, you will notice that they do it again and again because it's fun for them. It's challenging, yes, because they're not totally comfortable doing it, and they're not totally mastered that act. So they keep trying and trying till they master it, and then they move on to the next one. So it's actually play for them. Learning is actually fun. It's like a play. And only when it remains play, and only when it is fun, that they can go on learning. That's a very important aspect about learning, that it has to be fun if it has to be sustained. And learning, suppose I make a child sit before the spine is ready. If I make a child walk before the legs are strong, that's going to affect the child, isn't it? Therefore, learning has to be based on developmental stages if it has to be effective. So developmental stages, it's not just about the milestones, and once they start walking and going to school, the development doesn't end. They're still developing. That's why we have a field called pediatrics. Pediatricians are different from adult doctors. A child is not a miniature adult. The organs are different. The way information is processed by a child is different from the way we process information. This we have to bear in mind, that developmental stages have a bearing on our learning ability. It has a bearing on our entire personality, including our behavior, our mental makeup, our physical ability. If my hand is only this long, I can't reach something too far away. It will physically strain me, and it's almost impossible. And that will lead to frustration. So this is very important to bear in mind. Sometimes we are unconsciously doing certain things with children, not understanding that that is a child. That's how the information will be processed. We only think from our point of view. That is the reason I asked the question, what is the most important thing you wish for your child? A lot of us have certain goals and objectives, and we look at our parenting style, our teaching style in that, with that perspective. But what does the child need? Not what the child wants, but what does the child need? Because I might want to play as a child, I might want to play with fire, but what do I need? That's a very important thing. What the child needs at that age, at that stage. These are certain basic things I wanted to bring to notice, and then we'll move on to the next slide, please. Yes. What do you understand by the term holistic education? Can we all have different definitions of what is holistic. Very simple thing. Holistic means it should encompass everything, isn't it? It should be education for life. So the topic of my, you would have seen the title, education versus education. So we're constantly thinking of educating the head, and academics, content, all the time. How many marks? What are the subjects? What job will I get after this? But holistic education is about education for life. It's not just for one job, but I should be able to do anything and everything and meet life and its challenges head on with strength of character, with values, and also make a difference in society. I should blend with society, at the same time hold on to my principles and my values. First of all, I should have principles and values that are strong, that are me, that are an individual. I'm not aping somebody, but that individuality, not like the ahamkar or the lower ego, like we say, but the higher ego or that individuality. No two human beings are the same. We are so individualistic. Unfortunately, of late, this individuality is getting reduced, though we think we're very egoistic in one way, we're going towards egoism, but in many ways we're aping. Why are you doing this party? Because that's how everybody does. 1-year-old birthday party will have alcohol. It will be late night, irrespective of what the age of the child is. Is the child going to enjoy? Because that's how everybody is doing it. I have to ape everyone. That's what we're doing. We're losing that individual discerning power. This is so important, and it is education that should make us strong individuals who have our own set of values. And we don't have a universal right or wrong, especially in our culture. There's no set of rules, and we are so individualistic, and education should cherish and let this individual blossom. That is about holistic education. Now, when we say individual, what are the faculties that a human being has? What are the faculties that a human being has? I really like interactive talks, which an online session, it's not so conducive, but I just want you all to have these questions and answers in your mind, even if we're not physically speaking. But what are the faculties that a human being has? What all can we do? So today I've come for this talk. What is the most important thing? Okay, we have the 5 senses. Yes, we have, yes. But what are the, suppose I've come for this talk, what should I have in place? What is the most important things that that I should have before I come to? Yes, I need to have the ability to convey, but yes, the subject, exactly, the information. I should have the information, right? I should have the knowledge. I should have a preparation. I should know what point to speak when. I should have a lot of plans, right? So what can we call that? Can I call that thought process, thinking? Yeah, so I should have the ability to think. Okay, they mentioned in the introduction that I've done over 750 workshops. So I've been doing this over the years, but each time I'm so excited. So what should I have besides the knowledge? If I have to do every day, you have to do the same job. As a mother, you have to cook every day, or as a father, you have to do a certain set of duties. What do we have? Yes, commitment. What gives us that commitment? What is that? What gives us the commitment and the patience? What is it that gives us? Yes, what gives us that intention and commitment? It is, shall we say, yes, who said, I didn't catch the name of who said it, but the love and the passion, even if you do the same thing every single day, to just love it, then that will give you that extra zeal to do your job better, because you should love children, and you should also love what you do. If you're working with children, yes, love for children. But if you're working elsewhere, any other job, you should love what you're doing to have. Otherwise, again, I have to go, I have to wake up. That, that boredom should not set in. If you have the interest, the passion, then, so what can we call all that put together as a human being?
Responsibility.
As a human being, I have a thought process. What is the next faculty which includes all this: passion, interest, love, like, dedication, commitment? Can I call that feeling? My feeling level? Like, I have this feeling, intense feeling. Yes, responsibility. Who gives us that responsibility and motivation? It is our feeling level. I should love to do something. I should be angry with something that's bad, that's happening. I should have that anger. Anger is good in a way because we should stand for what we should stand against what we are angry about. So feeling, the second faculty that a human being has is the feeling level, feeling, sense of feeling. And okay, I have good ideas, I have the plan what to do, I have a strong intention that I have to do this. And what is the third faculty that will make me complete, that will make me succeed in what I'm doing? What is it? I have the thought, I have the intention, and then what do we need? Discipline, yes. And health, yes, we need to have health. And yes, exactly, acting. I have to put my thoughts and my feelings into action. Otherwise, like our 5-year-old plans, they're beautiful plans, everything is great, the planning is good, we have a lot of we have a lot of feeling towards it. Ultimately, I have to get my willpower to implement it. Implementation, execution. So we have this talk, I have the ideas what to talk, I love what I'm doing, but ultimately I should know how to operate this laptop, I should know to use technology, I should be willing to learn if I don't know it earlier, and we should ultimately action. The last word in Bhagavad Gita, the last sentence that in Bhagavad Gita Lord Krishna says is, now Arjuna, go do. That's it, go do. We have to go do. Sometimes there is such a gap between our thoughts. I know I have to do it. A lot of us have, the intention, but ultimately it doesn't translate into work. Why? Because we are lacking that will. Again, I'll give you an example. Some of us are so used to a clean house. Even if you're sick, you just can't let it be without, doing what you have to do. You need that order because you have that willpower. Even if there's no physical strength, you manage to do it with that willpower. Have you heard that term? I'm not doing it with my strength, but I'm doing it with my willpower. That willpower. How much of our educational institutions focus on developing this willpower? Because this willpower is so crucial. It's so crucial to the success of any program, any idea that you may have. The loftiest of ideas are of absolute waste if they don't get implemented. If it's just remaining in that realm, what use is it for anyone? It has to get into action, even if there is a gap between the beauty of the idea and maybe the implementation is a little pale, but at least somewhat you come closer to that perfect idea. But you have to bring some implementation, some execution of that idea, otherwise it's a waste. So these are three things. You agree with me? The thinking, the feeling, and the willing. Where there's a will, there's a way. Yes. Thank you. Yes. We'll move to the next slide, which will show us a little more in detail. Yes. So can I have the rest of it, please? Yes. So we understood about thinking. We understood about ideas, information. The N is missing. I'm sorry. Knowledge and planning. And then feeling. You have your likes and interests. And willing is the implementation, execution, action. And I don't know the last one, how it came about. That's not me. Okay. So how in childhood, how can we, where do we start with as children? I've just put years 0 to 7 and 7 to 14 and 14 to 21. It's not as if from after the 7th birthday, the child starts feeling. And after the 14th birthday, the child starts thinking. No, that's not. It is what I have done. And this is not just me. This is an idea that is being borrowed by Rudolf Steiner. And this is what was practiced in the Gurukula system in India, ancient India. And Till the 7th year, till the fall of the milk teeth, children learn by observation and imitation. And what you say, like to process it with thought, is not their forte. This is not to say that the brain is not functioning. This is not to say that thinking is not happening, but thinking through will. If you see children, they will play and play and play. And through that play, they understand something. You will see them playing with blocks. If you observe children at free play, not the play that we call in most what kindergartens call these days pre-KG, pre-primary classes. They just given a set of things and given instructions how to play. That's not the play I'm talking about. When children are given uninstructed play time, and when you watch them play, you will see how thinking will stem out of what they're doing. And that is self-learning, and that is the true learning that will stay on forever. We can teach and teach and teach, but self-learning is what will stay with them. When you say LCM or HCF, whatever, oh, that is it. When I have that aha moment, and then I can do 100 sums on my own. But till I get that, how to do it, aha moment, it is only the outsider influence, the effort from outside, not my internal understanding. So 0 to 7 years, it's so easy to understand that children learn by doing and doing and doing. And then in 7 to 14 years, the adolescence, when it sets in, I hate this teacher, so I don't like that subject. I love my teacher, so I just get a fondness for that subject. Or I love anything that I love, I can go into it deeper and deeper. And, aggression, the whole hormone in imbalance that makes that age group to sleep late, wake up late, and to have a lot of aggression in class or with parents to argue. It's so healthy. So if your teenager is revolting in the house, celebrate, because he's normal, she is normal. This is the budding individual that's coming. I'm not saying let them do whatever they want, but it is a sign that they're developing in a healthy way, and we need to address it also with understanding. We need to better. At this point, I also want to speak about different constitutional types. For us, the body is the foundation of what we are. It's the punadi in Telugu, they say, the foundation, the real base on which everything else, the superstructure, is built. And the human being is a wonder being. It's a wonderful creation. Whether you believe or you're non-believer, that doesn't matter. But the human being is so complex, so fascinating, that so much can be done by this human being if alone we are let to blossom in our own natural ways. It doesn't matter where we reach, but even a sweeper or a menial worker, if they can do their job so well, heads turn, isn't it? You want to speak to that person, you want to check. The human being has immense potential. If we are not aping, if we are not stunted in various ways, not just physical development, but in various ways we get stunted, we get closed into a shell. But if we can avoid all that, a human being has immense potential. So when we're talking about constitutional types, we have children of varying capacities, varying ways of learning. I'm not going to talk today about learning difficulties, but because that's a very vast topic. But when we speak about varying methods in which a child learns, some of them will be very slow, methodical. They will go one by one. Even if they're going to arrange a pencil box, they will put the pencil in one side and eraser next to it. Then they will keep it. They will go on and on. And then you have these cholerics, they just throw things. Just if they're removing their footwear also, it'll go flying everywhere. And they have that choler, that energy, that natural aggression. It need not be harmful, but they have that hot-blooded choler in them. And you have some children who are very like a butterfly, one moment here, the other moment distracted like this, very quickly they want, and they want variety. They can't stick to one thing. One day they want to do this, the next day another. They can't be methodical, they be and these are the children who will immediately want to help someone, like something is happening, oh, I can do that for them, because they just need to move on. So it's a quality, and none of these are defects, mind you. Everything can be a strength, and it can also be impairment. It can be a hindrance. But let's look at the qualities. The fourth one is a melancholic. They like to be alone. They get very disturbed if in a crowd. They like to be on their own. They're the thinkers, the philosophers. They like to brood over something. Some small thing happens. Why me? What is this whole world, this whole action? Why is it happening this way? The melancholics, they like to be on their own. They like to be left alone. They like to think a lot and be. So these are broadly four types. It's not as if we have four tight compartments. Some of us may have two of these qualities together, two of these temperaments, intertwined, or one very predominant and the others in a small way. Also, over the years, we may have one temperament and we grow into another. So these are things that we need to bear in mind before. Yes, I will name them. The first is what is choler. You have your choleric, and then you have sanguine. The second one is sanguine, flitting like a butterfly, one moment here, one moment there. The third is phlegmatic, slow, methodical. And the fourth is melancholic. Choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholic. Yeah. So these are the four temperaments. And why am I saying this? So as a teacher, as a parent, I need to understand, one size does not fit all. And it's not just about different methods. I need to even understand, if this child is slow, I can't expect him to go to a battle and fight. I can't expect him to take part in a debate or oratory where you need to be very forceful. If I put a choleric child there, he will just shine through. This is not to say that a melancholic or a phlegmatic child is less intelligent. It is just that each one has a way to do things, a way to look at things, and every single temperament can be a super strength if you don't break it. Even when you're teaching hobbies, when you're choosing hobbies, we need to understand, is my child this? If you get melancholic child to play tabla, it'll be a disaster. If you get a choleric child to play tabla, it will be great. So if you get a melancholic or a phlegmatic child to play a piano or a keyboard, they will shine better. And these are things, nuances, very small things, but can you imagine that it will make a whole lot of difference to which a whole lot of difference to the way. There are some questions which I may not be able to answer right now, but please keep them on and we will take every single thing at the end. So now coming to the age groups that I have put here, like 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21. I would like to go in, there is a possibility to go in great detail, but because we just have a short time, but just to know that these aspects need to be borne in mind when we are dealing with children. We always make children sit in front of a blackboard in the pre-primary classes. I actually abhor the term PP1, PP2. kindergarten, nursery and kindergarten, they're such beautiful terms and they have a meaning. What is nursery and kindergarten? Kindergarten is a German word, kinder meaning children and garden is garden. And kindergarten and nursery, there's a reason why they call, because children at that time are like tender plants. They need a lot of protection. They need a lot of care, nourishment. And then when they become a tree, the same cows from which you protected them, they can be tied on that trunk of the tree, so it's like they're so strong, but we have to wait for them to get strong. So it's very important to protect children in the young age. And if there is a time when children all the time moving, right? Because what is their strength? Willing, doing things, fleeting, moving fast, that's their strength. So if you curb that, and that's also required for physical development, mind you, like when the more they move, especially the milestones as infants, when they crawl, when they creep on the chest, with the chest they creep on the floor, these are very important floor time that develops their muscles, and which in turn gets their bones, everything in place. And this is what will lead to neurological development. So all this will activity, the movement is so important. But what do we do in schools by and large? I'm not talking about the alternative educational schools, but by and large, we make them sit, we make them write, we make them memorize. But that's the time for the physical body to develop. And it's not to say that they can't do something, but what do they need? What do they need? They need immense amount of time for play, for moving, for exploring, to experience the world, and also experience the world not just physically, also that the world is good, right? The world is good, it's beautiful. So to bring in aesthetics in the classroom and in the home, to bring in orderly talk, to bring that love for the world, because I'm introducing my baby, my child, to this world, and I want it to be most beautiful, even to see. There should be order in sight, order in what I hear. It's so beautiful. As a child, I must feel that this is a beautiful place. I want to be here. I want to come to school. I want to be in this house. So if I have everything messy, I'm not trying to make parents who are working feel guilty. When I say order, functional order, it need not be like a 5-star hotel, but functionally there should be order. When a child sees around, this is where something should be. This is the place for the broomstick. This is the place for my toys. Orderliness is a beauty on its own. So it also makes life easier, isn't it? Being orderly. So parents who find it difficult to get that order in the house, just remember you're lacking will. You're more in this realm. Just awareness can make a change in your life. For me, it was earth-shattering discovery to find out where I lacked and why is my life in a particular way and how I can make it better. Awareness is the first stepping stone to bringing change and change for the better. So to understand, am I too much here? Am I too much here? Or am I too much in will and that I'm constantly looking for instruction from somebody else? Aap boliye, main kar deta hu. क्यों आपको नहीं मालूम? Don't you know what you have to do? So I don't know. If you tell me, I will do. There are also that part of it, right? So please understand where you are, and then the correction will happen automatically with a little effort, conscious effort. And it's also important to understand that in the 0 to 7 years, it's very important to protect children from onslaught of sensory stimuli. So you carry a small baby to a wedding where there's blaring music, and then you feed them those chemically laden foods. Oil is floating, and now that's okay. My child has to get used to everything. Later his immunity will become weak if I don't expose him. When do you expose? when the growth is complete. When I said you can tie a cow to the trunk, and that's the time for exposure. But when I have to be protected, I have to be protected. There are no two ways about it. That is why in ancient India, there was a sacred regimen about after delivery practices. What time, when, which month a mother is allowed to go out, which month a child is allowed to even go back to the husband's house. These were all considered superstition or archaic practice, but they had a lot of science behind it. And unfortunately, in our quest to denounce everything that is ancient, we just left a lot of beautifully good practices. So if you see, there's a lot of science behind it. As a remedial therapist, when I studied developmental stages, the way the eye processes 3D vision, and what practices were carried on in neonatal home, like how they prepare the room of a newly delivered mother. It's so much sense. So I really want everyone to understand that this being is not a miniature adult, this being that's come into the world. So it's so important that we understand this, and we implement accordingly. Likewise, in the 7 to 14 years, there is bound to be a change from what is there. Is it to me, the message come onto the video? Is it to me?
No, ma'am, it's not to
Yeah,
you. It's
sure.
not to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So in 7 to 14 years, there will be a change. They will no longer be looking at the teacher. My teacher is so beautiful, I will listen to her. I have to please my teacher. No. Who are you? What gave you the authority? How do you know? Why should I listen to you? These are healthy questions. As teachers, do not hate those difficult children. They are developing in the most healthy way, and embrace that. Just celebrate that, because you have done the right things, because they're doing the right things at the right age. It's a very important development that there's defiance. There is, you're meeting with an individual that's not saying yes to everything. And the fights, the anger, they're all to be welcomed. But what do we do with that? That is the age when we get children to be involved in a project, a socially useful project where they can channelize their overactive minds and bodies into constructive activity. And it will be challenging for them, and they will understand their own deficiencies. They need to understand. If you point it out to them, they don't like it. But when they realize their own, it's a beautiful time to get the class together, to look at each other and come out with, this is my problem, and my own classmates will give me solutions. But if I have fear of telling my problem, it's very dangerous. I will hide, I will lie, I will try to project myself as very perfect. And what will I do? I will go into the wrong path. Most children who get into bad habits, it's around this age. And it's very important to accept their deficiency. It's very important to accept that they can't do something, that they have failed somewhere. If that kind of trust needs to be built between the adult who's handling the child, who is close proximity. It could be a grandmother, it could be a peer, maybe a father's friend, mother's friend, or the parents itself. It's a time when you need to get them really close. Yes, there will be fights, there'll be angers, there'll be outbursts, but please remember that this is the time. If you don't, if you break them, there need to be rules. You need to be firm. And a lot of times I tell my parents, you yourself fail, like show them that you have failed. And you can set rules and consciously fail and face the punishment, because they should know that we are equals. And it is okay to say I failed, to honestly say I failed. There's no shame in failing, but there is shame in hiding. When you hide, there is shame. But when you say, yes, I have failed, help me, is perfect. There's scope for growth. There's scope for not failing and succeeding later. So please set rules at this time. 7 to 14 years is the best time to inculcate habits, to set rules, but you are bound by that rule. And believe me, fail, you win ultimately. Sometimes you have to lose a battle to win the war, or is it the other way around? I don't know. So you have to lose something to gain something. So fall in front of your children, but get up and show them, yes, after falling down, after failing, I'm succeeding. And it's also good for parents to also learn something at that time which is challenging, to show them how I started from scratch and then I'm learning. And it's a beautiful time which will be filled with pain. Be prepared. It will be filled with pain, but there's no gain without pain. My own life was, if I look at it one way, miserable at that time, because my children shook the insides of me. My core values were all questioned, and at one point I said, yes, what I believed so many years is actually nonsense. And some beliefs, I said, I'm holding on to them. Yes. And they also came, you come midway, but it's a churning time. And it's beautiful if you understand that growth is the only way forward. Change is the only way forward towards growth. Uh, yes. And then 14 to 21 is when actually the intellect as a separate faculty comes into play. Till now, the will was, nudging the thinking. Later, the feeling is nudging the thinking. And then thinking on its own, what we call objective thinking. Objectivity is a word that I love. And if we have more and more objectivity, the world will be a better place. Today, all the evils that you see, because I'm so colored by my point of view, or I'm brainwashed by somebody. If I have my own individual thinking, what a healthy being I will be, and what a healthy asset I would be to this society. If I can think for myself and do what is right at that time. It's so important to cherish this thinking. It is so precious that it has to come slowly. It should not be preempted. If I start thinking, very early, then I actually preempt that thinking. It can be somebody else's thinking forced on me. If I have to have my own free thinking, I have to wait slowly in these developmental ages. I'm so sorry that I took so long, but I really think that an education that follows these stages can be so powerful. And education does not happen only in schools, right? We're all educators. Whoever is with a child is an educator, because a child is watching you and wants to imitate you. It does not just want to imitate you, it automatically imitates you, whether it's your body mannerism, your dressing style, the way you think, the way you treat others. All this is being observed by children, and we need to be worthy of that emulation. So that is the reason I took so long to say this. Next slide, please. Yes. Can I take 5 more minutes? Is that okay?
Please take as much time as you want, because what you are giving is what is needed.
Yeah,
That's
thank
the
you.
hint.
Thank you so much. So we always think that it is the brain that learns. The body is the foundation, and it is on which the superstructure is built. Eye tracking is a very small thing. I just want you all to hold a pencil or pen that you have in hand. If you don't, just hold your finger, hold it like this, move to your left, follow the finger, move to your right. Can you see this? And then move it forward and backward, and move it in circles, all the time looking at the finger. Actually, I wanted us to do it together. Can I have a full video view of everybody? We can stop sharing the screen for a moment, please. And can you all do this? Some of you observe the others and some of you do it. I just give you the freedom to either observe or to do it. Just move it to the left, move your finger to the left, or a pen to the left and then to the right, all the time looking at the tip of your finger. Okay. And you just move it forward and backward. Some of you are moving your faces. Some of you are able to move only your eyeballs, right? I can see that. So not an issue. I'm not here to judge, but just to show that the simple act of the ability of the eye to track can make a whole lot of difference in the way I look at the blackboard. Just eye tracking. If I have a problem with tracking of the eye, I can hit my neighbor who is sitting next to me. I can get irritated. I can get neck pain. I can get shoulder pain, which will in turn make me aggressive or make me hate studies. It's a very small thing. No, it's a very big thing. Yeah. So before the children are ready to track, before the children are physiologically, not every child can track. As a baby, children's eyes will be everywhere. Before they're ready, we give them a pencil and a paper to write. We give them a blackboard with alphabets, read. How cruel is this? We are creating learning disability. They're coming very beautifully. All children are born dyslexic. They will wear ulta shoes. And that's the way that should be. There's a spiritual reason, which I will not go into now, but there is a reason why we look at things in an opposite way. But if we straighten them out before they can actually physically straighten, you're preempting something. You're interfering in their development. We'll have the screen sharing again, please. Likewise, there is something called crossing of the brain. We all have two sides of the brain, which there's so much material on the net about left and right. We'll share the screen again, Preeti, please. So crossing of the brain. Have you seen small children climb stairs? They will put one leg, then the next feet will go there. The same leg will go up, they'll put. Because the brain hasn't crossed. They can't do this alternate movements. They have to go one like this. So if this does not happen beyond 6 years, 5 years, 6 years, and definitely by the time they are 7, it should have crossed. If it does not, then we need therapy. Not that the brain is a problem, the body is a problem. There is something that has not happened in the body. They are intelligent children, mind you, they're very intelligent, maybe, or maybe average intelligence, but they're not abnormal. The body has a block. There is a problem with the body. If we deal with that, they will be fine. They'll be as fine as anybody can be. And muscle tone. If my neck muscles, cesarean babies, did you know that during natural birth, the kind of exercise the neck gets, never in your lifetime you will get. This is not to say that cesarean births are wrong. We have to save the life of the baby. That's the most important thing. But it means that my neck has not got something which naturally it should have got. I have to work on it. I have to work on strengthening the neck muscle. It is through the neck that all the nerves go to the brain. Muscle tone is not a small matter. It's an important thing that leads to neurological development. That is why the milestones are so important. Sensory integration. Somebody said earlier in the talk that the 5 senses are so important. Absolutely important. There's a difference between hearing and listening. Do you agree? A lot of us hear a lot of things, but do we listen? In class, teachers who are here will be, they will be very familiar with this. Listening is more than 3/4 of the problem. If everybody can listen, they can memorize, they can concentrate, they can focus. Listening is deep, exactly. So listening is very deep. Hearing is shallow. Likewise, I see so many things, but what am I looking at? What am I watching? There's a difference. So, and is the smell so overpowering that I can't concentrate on anything else? There's stimulation and there is overstimulation. Is the perfume of my teacher, is it so overpowering? Is my sense of smell like a dog's, that I get completely distracted? It can happen. Children with autism, they can get completely distracted with a smell. It could be a smell, it could be a color, it could be something, but understimulation, overstimulation, very important again to protect your newborns, to protect your 0 to 7 years from overstimulation. Also, don't understimulate. They need to hear the right kind of music, the right kind of things. That's a big topic on its own. What is right at that age? What kind of music is right? We will, just being aware will let you to explore and question. Reflexes, we all need reflexes, and certain reflexes, infant reflexes, have to go away. This is a big study. It's called retained reflexes. When you retain certain infant reflexes, it can hamper your studies. Why I'm mentioning all this is, studies is not just here. Learning is not just here. It is holistic, the whole body. The most important thing, vestibular system. That's why I have the picture here. If you can see that spiral structure, that's our inner ear, the cochlea. It is adjacent to our vestibular, the 3 semicircular canals that you can see, the semicircular canals, those are in charge of our balance. You've all heard of this Vrikshasana in yoga, standing on one leg, that yogis do to reach high states of enlightenment. This inner ear is, as I said, adjacent to this vestibular. So the act of listening, the sense of listening, is directly connected to our sense of balance, physical balance.
Oh.
So when I don't have physical balance, I don't have mental balance. I don't have the capacity to concentrate. I do not have the capacity to focus.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you all to do something. Again, can we go off screen? And I want to see everybody. I want all of you to stand up. I'm sorry to get you out of your comfortable seats, but let's do it. So I get the privilege of not doing it. I'm sorry. But in a class, I would do it. But I will go off my camera. And so those who have severe vertigo, please don't try this. Don't try this. You can try the first 2 steps that I'm going to talk. Beyond that, don't try. Those who have severe vertigo. So I want you to stand with both feet together, absolutely together. Just stand with both the feet together. Come on, switch on your videos so that I can see you all. I'm not going to judge, but this is just to understand. Some of you are swaying. Can you sense that there is a slight sway in your body? Both feet absolutely together, not like this, but absolutely touching each other. Now close your eyes. If you're comfortable standing with open eyes, close your eyes. Can you see that slight sway? Can you sense it? Yes, no? Unmute and tell me. Yes? Okay. Now,
Yes.
Now stand on one leg. Stand on one leg. Open your eyes and stand on one leg. Now, can you just close your eyes? Whoops. Yeah, you know the difference. So are we standing, balancing with our eyes? Please sit down. Please sit down. So with closed eyes, you can see what a challenge it is. Yes.
True.
So that's when the vestibular is actually doing its function. Balance is the function of the vestibular. Can we share the screen again, please? So this is to show that, you know, when I have to listen, a whole lot of organs are playing. So when I want my students to listen, I should understand that there are little organs in their body which are either helping them or creating trouble for them. So I can't judge a child. This child is always distracted. Very bad. I mean, I'm happy he's absent today. This is a natural. I have been a teacher and I have been happy when certain students didn't come, but I was also aware that this is not right. And I had the courage to discuss that I know this is wrong, but this is what I feel. So how can I help myself first? And then how can I help the child? This honesty is very important for teachers to understand that I'm not able to reach to a child, or as a parent, I'm not able to understand. Yeah, I'm certain questions, I'll leave it to the end. Yeah, so this is very important to understand that physical body plays a huge role in the way we think, not only the way we think, even the way we feel. We'll go to the next slide. Yes. Also our feelings. If my physical body, if through my wrong food, I just mess my gut, my digestion, I can start behaving in a very deplorable way. Sugar, early in the morning, bread and jam, finished. Teacher will have hell in the class because sugar excites. It gives me a high. I will go hyper. And processed food, certain chemicals, Ajinomoto, we all know, can create havoc in my thinking, feeling, behavior, my action. It can create. And over a period of time, it will weaken my physical body, which is the foundation of my health and my survival. And it's not just survival. There is one thing about I'm alive, but there's one thing about am I functionally alive? I need to be at my best. So food is so important. It is so, so important. And schools have to pay attention to what the children eat, because we collect a lot of fee from parents, both parents who are working and they don't have the time. And we have taken the responsibility to educate the child. Food is also part of education. Soul food and food for the body, both are given by the schools. It's very important to understand what is this food, what is the content, what time are they eating. I eat the best of the foods when the liver has to rest, I'm doing harm. So food is something parents need to pay a lot of attention. You get hyper when the children get low marks. Please get hyper when the children are eating wrong foods. Don't get hyper, but pay attention and do something about it. Yes, that is something that I wanted to mention about food, gut, brain connection, and even our behavior. Our behavior, it's a lot to do with the kind of food we eat. You make a change and then you will see. Yes, okay. And I will just close. I think there's only one more slide. Can we just go to the next slide? Yes, also, what is the role of arts when we say holistic education? We also have to build good values. So I will quickly run through this. We are humane, because we are subjective. I like red, you may not like red. I like something else. I like dosa. I have no reason why I like something. I can't explain it objectively. We are very subjective, we are very individual. And it is the arts that train this individuality, this subjectivity. Without art, we'll be mechanistic. I know it's a very short way of saying it. Sorry, I've taken so much time, but the topic is such. Yeah, so next one. But you all know that art is crucial in making us humane. Why do we have to go see a dance or a music program? You do have to get these into education, because they will create values. We can have a different discussion altogether on this. We'll move to the next slide, please. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, that was the last thing. So I'm waiting for the questions. I'm sorry that I took more time. Yes.
Not at all. We'll try to wrap this as quickly as possible. I would now like to request each of you to take a 30-second questionnaire to answer a poll for us. The purpose of the poll is to serve each of you a lot better, so that we can curate topics that are more pertinent to you. As we are answering the poll, we're proud to announce that our first fundraisers have been fully funded. A young girl with cerebral palsy was funded with a tricycle, and she was walking 11 kilometers to school. Now she's been able to get this tricycle. The fundraiser was raised by her principal. Thank you so much to the participants. We also recently did a Diwali program where most of us clean up our homes in Diwali. So Vishwa has a material vertical where we had gone and picked up and given it to people who wanted, who NGOs who needed it, who were giving it out to the underprivileged. With this, we will start our question and answer session. If there is anybody who wants, please raise your hands. We will ask the questions. Answer the questions. There is, these days, youngsters are not ready to be parents, yet they somehow manage to, with our current lifestyles and all, we get them married and then they have children and then they go into depression, not knowing how to handle their children. What advice would you give to the grandparents and the parents on this issue?
I wish I had an answer. Yes, but I think bringing up a baby is a big responsibility. It's a sacred task, and in those days people didn't think much about it because we lived in a joint family and the whole family was involved in rearing the child. So now it's nuclear families, so the onus is on the individual parents. So I think it's very important to have a counseling session, even about marriage itself, right? Even marriage is about, so it's a topic altogether like that needs family support, elders in the family. And even in colleges, I think in colleges, they should have a topic about marriage and the consequences of marriage, children, of course, in that. Yeah, I think it's very important that educational institutions should have something about life, social life, including marriage. Yes. Yeah.
One question from Ms. Anju. Would you like to come on video and ask the question? Unmute, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Very good afternoon. It was very cherishing to hear, and the facts you have presented it articulated very well. And I would like to say one thing, that as a parent, as you said, that counseling parents ki bhi honi chahiye, hari ki honi chahiye. That is absolutely necessary nowadays. And one should not shy with it. That is what I have to say. And I wanted to understand much better how to handle the teenage. Like when especially children are struggling with the homework doing, the academic pressure is so much. What I personally feel is, in the education system, prior, there was a life skills period, there was work education at our time. But now it is not there. Yeah. There is no time for moral skills, life skills, which is actually very necessary. Yeah. So there is a need of a change in the education system holistically. That is, I could correlate because my core values were also the same. So could you please advise us how to handle the anger? Because the way.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Yes, I got you. So there are two things here. Obviously, there needs to be a change in the educational system, which is not entirely in our hands, not entirely, but partly in our hands.
Yeah.
So we choose schools sensibly, but if you're not able to, then we understand that what is happening in the school is wrong and not what my child is doing is wrong. The child is in a setup where he is compromised, he is challenged beyond his developmental stage. So just that understanding and you being less harsh on the child will help. That's the first thing that we can do given the circumstances. But of course, to change the system, more and more parents are opting for homeschooling. Please unmute when you're talking to somebody else, please. And see, there is no overnight solution for this. But we all collectively see demand is as according to the supply, right? When we all think schools have to focus on result, that's the kind of schools you will get. If you disregard such schools and choose schools which are more holistic, you will immediately find a school. In my children's school, my younger son's school used to tell me, don't teach your child, because we want to know what is his understanding. If you teach, then we don't know whether what we have taught has reached him or not. So don't teach your child, don't help him with homework, let him do mistakes or do the way he wants. So choose a school that is like that. Number one, there are schools even in Hyderabad and elsewhere also. We need to learn. Secondly, we need to learn that what is happening there is wrong. If I'm not able to change the school, what is happening in the school is wrong. So how do I support my child? How can I be more friendly, more helpful, more supportive to my child and make it simpler for him? It's not easy when both parents are working, but it's not impossible. Sometimes we need to prioritize certain things, keep less time for other activity, focus on your child, because at that time, if somebody is hospitalized, you leave everything and go be with them, right? So don't wait till somebody has to be hospitalized. So just focus on them. Yeah, that's the only thing that I can suggest. Yeah. Any other questions? Somebody, Riddhi Mehta has raised a hand.
Yes, thank you for the beautiful session. I want to ask, nowadays, flashcards are so much in trend for toddlers. What your views are on this?
So I already mentioned in my talk, I'm not going to answer you, you're going to answer yourself. I have said that 0 to 7 years, thinking is not the focus. It should not be the focus. What are you showing in the flashcard? Are you teaching him to think, or are you teaching him to do? That's all. That's all. Just remember, 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, what is the focus? This is not to say the child can't read or write, but does he need to read and write at that time? What should he be doing? Should he be developing his sensory skills? Should he be developing his foundational skills of concentration, listening, observing, building his body, crossing of the brain? Should that happen? Or should he learn ABCD and words and spellings? And I leave it to you. Yeah? Yeah. Anybody else?
Dr. Kishore Koya, please. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Sir, we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. Sir? Doctor? Yes. You have to.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was showing that the host has to permit for me to unmute. Yeah. Thank you for a lovely session. We have a strange issue. We are in a joint family with my parents, wife, and a 9-year-old boy. So there are issues where we are not trained to be, how to raise a child. They have got their own views. We have different views. Unless and until we set some ground rules, it's getting problematic every day.
Yeah.
So everybody feels, they are right from their path, but we face problems. We depend on my parents for so many things, dropping to the school bus, taking back, many things. They enjoy that and everybody is happy. But when it comes to a few things, do's and don'ts, we face problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, actually, this it's a blessing to have grandparents at home. It's a blessing. So no matter how difficult it is, just thank your stars that you have them with you. And because it's such a learning experience for children to see old age and its challenges, and to respect, their wisdom. They all come with wisdom. Of course, these days, grandparents are those TV viewing, serial viewing, and then feeding the children types. So that can sometimes be a little contradictory. But I think it's healthy to have a discussion when the children are not there, to say this, I would like it my way. Like, for example, meal time, so the content of the meal, or watching too much television. All these need to be streamlined. But otherwise, things like parents having an argument with their children, with you, and grandchildren being a witness to that. All that's part of a social setup in a house. It's okay, but parents oiling the hair, grandparents oiling grandchildren's hair, and feeding them even when they're a teenager. These are beautiful moments. Let's not think, oh, this is not the time to feed the child, and children sleeping with the parents in their grandparents in their bed. They're all beautiful moments which are so part of our culture. So just the little differences, just have a healthy discussion when the children are not there, and just say, these are my core values and I want this for my child, and this is a discipline issue. You can't interfere when I'm disciplining. We always are united when we're fighting against a teenager. No matter what, I can fight with my husband afterwards, but in front of my teenager, we are one. I always tell my husband, we just are one against the child. Otherwise, as it is, a teenager can rip you apart. And if they know you're divided, they'll play such games that you will go for a toss. So that's simple, but it's very healthy to have a talk with your parents without the children being present. Yes. Yeah.
One question from Nisa. I am unable to turn on my video because of this difficulties, as I'm returning from my farm in a remote village. My question is, my 13-year-old son has become moody and withdrawn and not open. How can I support him through this phase?
Yes. So massages, physical massages will bring them, present. Massage, touch, the sense of touch is very, very soothing, gives security, gives that assurance. And also to put him in a sport or a music which he likes willingly. If he doesn't, then don't do it. But to talk, to get him to read books, to take him out, nature walk, to just spend time. He may not be opening out, but just spend time. Sometimes they are not talking, but they're still with you. And also, this is a good time to talk about addictions and certain bad habits that children get into at that age. Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. A lot of children, out of curiosity, out of simply the times we live in, get into such things. It's not the end of the world. You can still get them out of it with the right kind of support. Don't hate them. Hate the problem. Don't hate the child. It's so important. Don't hate the child, hate the problem. It's easier said, but drill it into your minds. It's not the child, it's a problem. It's an issue with the child. The core of the child always wants to be good. Every child unconditionally loves its parents. Whether you love your children, I'm not going to talk about it, but your children love you. Don't ever doubt that. Even if they're difficult, they're scolding you, they're crying, they're having outbursts, they still love you. Don't ever doubt that. They just need that phase. The hormones go haywire. The sleep patterns, even the digestion, a whole lot of changes are happening in the body that will make them rebel. So just set certain rules. Even if they're not communicating, why should I listen to it? Because I say so. That's it. No more arguments. This is what we do. Okay, when you make your own house, we'll follow that. You're in my house, just follow this. You have trouble and then they're crying. No matter what, when they're crying, you're going to rub their shoulder. You're going to, you rub their back and be with them. No matter what, they've been wrong, but you're there. Yes, you understand their pain, you're there. It's easier said individually. I know how difficult. I have cried as a parent because I didn't know what to do. I mean, it's a lot of pain to bring a teenager. Sometimes it's not, but most of us, 99%, it's a pain. But believe me, at the end of that, again, you have a friend, you have an advisor in the house. I like now my children are at the age when I seek, is this problem to be handled like this or not? Very millennial thinking is sometimes wonderful. It's not always ancient wisdom, but even for the growing times, like for the coming times, some of them are very wise. They're very simple. Their solutions are simple. No baggage, nothing. today is a new day. Let's start it that way. That's how they look at it, and which is welcome. Don't always hate the younger generation's thinking. Some of it is much more beautiful than our conditioned ancient views. The habits, the culture, the what shall I say, the food habits, all that, yes, we need to go back to the olden thing. But a lot of times we need to change the way we have things in the house. So this is something that is very difficult to give a solution. But for your youngster who's brooding, just be with him, take him out. Doesn't matter if he's doing less well in studies, just be with them. There's a beautiful book called Don't Sprint the Marathon by Raghunathan. It's a beautiful book, Don't Sprint the Marathon. So you will, it's not directly about behavior problems, but it's about how we as parents get so stressed about certain things in life. Sometimes people fail to rise higher. Yeah. Any other question?
Yeah, one, Miss Sailaja Sharma, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Hello. Hi. I have a question. See the ideology which we were brought up, the way our parents brought us up, like these are the rules you have to follow, and we used to blindly follow, no questions asked. And now,
can you come on video, ma'am?
Yeah. Also, when asking questions, try to be as less descriptive and come to the question simply because of the time.
Yeah. Okay, got it. See, now if I have a 9-year-old daughter, when I compare her, like she's good at everything, and I can say good and bad at everything. Like I can't say she's a champion in one thing. So when I think, okay, I will compare her to somebody and giving an example of any X or Y. So it backfires on me. So you think that child is better. I'm not a good child. And she lives, okay, you told I'm a bad child. Then how? The whole process goes way. How do we handle, how to motivate a kid?
Yeah, this is a beautiful opportunity for you to become conscious of every word that you utter. Because a 9-year-old is going through a crisis. It's called the 9-year crisis. You can find it on the net. You can read what is happening. That's when the Rubicon crossing actually happens in the body. And they will have doubts about their own. Are you really my parent? How do I know that I was born to these parents? These are questions about death, about life. Questions come. It's a very important time when you are very conscious of what you say. And my dear, when you say I gave a reference of XYZ, that is a euphemism for comparison. Let's face it.
I tried doing that, but
no. I'm saying be conscious that you were comparing. You were comparing. When you say I gave reference of XYZ and said he's doing like that, that is nothing but comparison.
That's a
they give it any name. So when you compare, children don't like it. And they will start comparing parents. Her parent does this. Are you doing this? So let's not get into that. We cannot win an argument with an adolescent. We can never win an argument because they will find so many loopholes, that they will find so many pathways in the maze that you and I physically will get tired to follow. So let's not get into argument. Yes, when we were children, we implicitly obeyed certain things because that was our time. But now let's welcome this time of questioning. See, in history, we had Reformation, Renaissance. We had so many things for a reason, because each time the human race goes through certain developmental stages. So let's not curse the time that we are living in. We have to be prepared. We have to upgrade ourselves. So we have to become conscious what we talk. What do I want for my child? That's a question I asked in the beginning of the session. When we are looking at another child and then saying he's not like that, or they're able to do that, why you're not able to do, or I don't know, whatever you want from your child. So what do we want from our child? What does the child need? Maybe the child doesn't need to go on stage and talk. I'm just giving an example. Maybe the child doesn't want to excel. I remember my child starving in a birthday party and coming back because he was shy to ask. And I felt so bad. I said, how could you do? And he said, for me, they need to ask me. It's okay if I go hungry one day, I will not die. For me, it was more important that I don't ask and they ask me, or something like that, he told me. And he said, this is what I want. Can you leave me? It doesn't matter. I'm coming here and eating. I can't ask someone, can you leave me? Can you give me that freedom? And then it hit me that priorities are so different. When a lady with dementia wanted to be in a house where she was not given food, but she felt comfortable, I just had to understand that at that age, being in a space where the bed is in one side, she's familiar with the room, is more important than getting food on time. I think we need to understand what they need rather than what we think they need. Does it make sense? I think you need to go down to the level of the child. What does the child need? This is so difficult when we are not trained to think like that. अरे हमने ऐसा किया, हम लोग ऐसे थे, और सब लोग ऐसा करना चाहिए, ऐसा ही करते हैं सब लोग. And Facebook is not a standard for all the beautiful pictures that my child baked a cake for me. People post pictures. It gives you that peer pressure that that child did so much, and just chuck all that out. And the reality is what is in your living room, in your room, your bedrooms, your living rooms. That is reality. And what we need, what they need, is more to be the focus than what somebody wants, or even what you want. Want is different from need. Yeah, I hope it makes sense.
I have another question. If you want, I can message you if you're running short of time.
Yeah, you can message. And also I meet parents with children or without children, professionally, and because it's so difficult to take individual questions in a
True.
group.
I
Yes?
understand.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Chintamani.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invite, and it's a very informative session. Thanks, Seetha, for inviting me. As usual, every time I meet you, the same kind of amused with your lecture. I have a very typical question. In last 10 years, I have come across with a lot of people who tell how to bring your child without difficulties, or how to bring them and all these things. But there is one reason where parents have to concern about what happens when they cross their childhood. For example, in my case, I have a child who is having a partial disability with the learning difficulties because of his disability. My constant worry in my life is always that what he will do once he becomes an adult and he has to live on his own, because the surrounding area, the surrounding society, the governments or the society, it's not at all prepared for these kind of things.
Yes.
Any organizations like yours, or the one who are organizing these kind of things, are doing anything to do something for these kind of things?
So I got your question. Thank you very much. And I wish to say two things. One, the sphere of future. There's actually a beautiful quote. I will share it with maybe Vishwa, and they can send it to all the participants. There's a beautiful quote about the fear of future and what we should do to ourselves to overcome that fear. That's number one. I think, so tomorrow what's going to happen, we don't know. Next minute what's going to happen, we really don't know, sir. So number one, I think fear is one of the most crippling emotions. Anger, sadness, all that is one side, but fear is one of the most crippling emotions, which I don't want anybody to go through if we can help it. And trust that some power, your own child has a power in him, and he will learn to overcome. So your child has partial vision, but there are people who are blind. So they also survive, right? It's not impossible to survive in this world, no matter what the disability is. There is always something that has brought that being in the world. There is something that will protect that being. That being itself has enough power to protect itself. So trust that, number one. Number two, yes, we need to sensitize, which is what even in this session we are doing. There are more and more organizations which are more sensitive now. And there are more organizations that are coming forward. It is just that we need to get that synchrony. Like, you have to be able to reach out to them. They have to know you're there, and you have to know that they are there. That's all. So just that, thrown open to the universe, they'll all fall in place. But I have immense trust that we all go through what we are going through for a reason. And when we stick to our path consciously, when we are conscious decisions, conscious actions, when we tune our feelings towards our conscious actions and tune our thoughts towards conscious actions, help will come. Help has to come. And if it need not come from outside, I might get an idea. It might come from myself. But one exercise that I recommend everybody who's having children or grandchildren or dealing with children is, in the night, I pray that, take me to that, make me one with that child, the being of the child, to understand the child better. And in the morning, I send this intention that, be with me, that I do the right thing. Be with me, that in the night, I go to them. In the morning, they come to me. It's the same thing maybe, but I think it's a good exercise, whether you believe it or not. It makes you at least mentally prepared. It's like, I wear a dupatta, something is with me. When I take off the dupatta, I'm just saying dupatta, something else. I take something off and keep it out, and then I wear it. It's there with me. Something is holding on to me. I don't know if it makes sense, but this is what I practice to overcome fear. All of us have various kinds of doubts and questions about future, but to live in the present, to do what you're doing, 2 and 2 has to make 4. We just do what is right today. That's all is in our control. It has to give the right consequence. When I sow this seed, this fruit only has to come. Of course, rain, sunshine, weather conditions will all either hamper that seed or not. But if I'm going to think of that and not sow the seed, I am the loser. So I can only control the sowing and protecting to the extent possible. And I will keep doing that. I think if we live in the present, do what every single day, and just the fact that you do the right thing will itself lead you. That's all I can say. And I want everybody present here to understand that there are so many thousands of children in your own vicinity, in your own circle, that have certain difficulties. Just have a thought for them, their parents, their future, and how your child is going to react to that. How are you going to react to that? Are you sensitive? Are you making your children sensitive? Yeah.
So with this, I'd like to express my gratitude to each and every one of you who have joined us today with your presence, your interactive contribution to make this a webinar a truly contributing session. Thank you so much. And I would like to extend my gratitude to our respected speaker, Mrs. Seetha Anand, for taking out time from her busy schedule for this event. And there are so many acknowledgements from you, from Ms. Juveria Khalil, Rajni Raman, Dr. Jay Chandran Surendran, Ms. Anuradha Chakri, Mr. Subhash Chandra, there's so many, I can't even count them.
Some of them are my students. I'm very grateful that I've spoken to them so many times and still they chose to come. It's very humbling. I really want to thank all those who have come. I don't recognize some of you who seem to have Annie. I don't know who you are. Maybe the name is different, but you have mentioned that you have listened to me earlier, but I'm not able to recollect. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you.
Names which I haven't covered, but thank you so much.
Is there some way to see this chat box? Because I have not managed to see everything.
It's there, right there. You can reach out to it. Not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
we'll go to the, there's so many. I'm sure if you see, you'll see a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to.
I couldn't cover all the names. With this, we'll be closing the session. Thank you, everybody. I just wanted to tell you all about the upcoming sessions. We have 2 upcoming sessions, one on cyber crime, which is much needed because all of us end up worrying about our credit cards and our UPI and our Google Play. This is by a IPS officer. He was the former chief of anti-terrorism, Dr. G.K. Goswami. It'll be wonderful, suitable for everybody. And one by Mr. Gopal Raitata. He's an ex-NSS volunteer, founder, Go Shunya. He's going to talk about the environment. So please do share it with people, your friends and family who would be interested in these topics. Cybercrime, I would advise everybody to join. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. How do I go to the breakout room? How do I join the breakout room?
I have ended up into the breakout room. Okay.